Good morning. Today is Wednesday of the 25th week in Ordinary Time. And of course, with every passing week, we are getting closer and closer to the final week of our church year of grace and favor from the Lord, when we celebrate the solemnity of Christ the King. And then following upon that, our new year begins with the Advent season. However, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, there is a feast coming up this coming Saturday, the 27th of September, that I think bears our remembrance, if possible, be at Mass. It's the annual feast of Saint Vincent de Paul. And of course, all of us of a certain age are quite familiar with St. Vincent de Paul and what he did as a Catholic priest in France in the early to mid 17th century. And he's probably most well known for the charitable Catholic society that bears his name, the St. Vincent de Paul Society. We have a few in our diocese which are part of our Catholic parishes, and they do a tremendous amount of very good charity, whether it's for Catholics or non-Catholics, especially physical charity, helping people with their bills perhaps, finding temporary housing, supplying them with food vouchers or clothing and things of that sort. And all of it's an excellent work of charity done by the Catholic Church locally. However, St. Vincent de Paul bears our reading of his life. And so if you can get a hold of a good Lives of the Saints, I always recommend Butler's Lives of the Saints. It's still the best. Read about St. Vincent de Paul. He founded two religious congregations, which sometimes we forget. He founded, they are commonly called the Vincentians, an order of priests whose charism was to renew priestly life among diocesan clergy, but also to do seminary formation of future priests. And to this day, the Vincentians do that and do a very good job at that. But also, St. Vincent de Paul founded a religious community of women, and they are rather famous for their habits, or as the habit they used to wear. It was that black habit, and then the sisters didn't really wear a veil, but they had that large, looked like wings on their coif, and the Sisters of Charity, as they were, as they have been called, helped St. Vincent de Paul in the charitable works he was so wonderfully engaged in for the entire time of his priesthood. But the Sisters of Charity are well known for what they have done in these areas of hands-on charity. One of the things that's not well known, when the French Revolution occurred, not too long after the end of our Revolutionary War, the revolutionaries in France persecuted the Catholic Church tremendously. They drove out priests, they drove out religious men and women. Quite a number of Catholic priests were martyred for the faith because they would not pledge allegiance to the state. The one thing that did not happen, and of all persons to acknowledge that, was Napoleon Bonaparte. The revolutionaries left the Sisters of Charity alone because it dawned on them they were the only ones who were actually running hospitals and these other homes for orphans or the poor. And they didn't want to mess that up, so to speak. And so they left the only thing they demanded, they had to take off their habits. As soon as the French Revolution ended, and Napoleon took over, he restored the church and so forth, and the sisters then put their habits back on. But even the revolutionaries, who were thoroughly godless and evil men, by the way, recognized the good work these sisters were doing, and perhaps only for a pragmatic reason, they left them alone. And so the presence of the church, even in terrible times, was able to be maintained, and by other priests and other religious who went into hiding and served the people in secret during that terrible period. But St. Vincent de Paul, to get back to him, was a wonderful priest. He's acknowledged worldwide, not only by the church, but by secular societies, for the tremendous example of real charity that he inspired in other people, and for the enduring effect of what he established in the name of the Catholic Church in the Western world. And so this coming Saturday is his feast, and if possible, I urge you to go and attend and participate at Mass and thank God for the great gift he made of St. Vincent, or as he was called when he was still alive, Father Vincent, that the Lord made not just to the church, but to the larger society. And he sets an excellent example for all of us of what we can and ought to do in performing those good works of charity. And so may you continue to flourish in strengthening your faith through prayer and good works in these final days of our month of September.